All right. I think we're going here. Taking a look at this mic, I guess. Probably a really awkward way to start a video, but yeah, no, how we roll. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. Thursday's been going okay here, just last night had a little discoloration of bubble starting in the ceiling above my shower. This morning I wake up and I'm like, gosh, did somebody did I not turn the faucet off enough? And I go in there and that bubble, sure enough, leaking a lot. It was a very big bubble by the time that I woke up. And turns out there was a hot water leak right above the shower, which is pretty cool. And then right at noon, as soon as it was about time to hit lunch, it was just yep, power's gonna start going out too. So great day. Fantastic. I didn't get a ton done today. Thanks to just one, meetings, and two, just maintenance things. So that was a fun day indeed. But I guess there are perks and there are anti-perks. I don't know what the opposite of a perk is. To being a remote employee. It's you get to work kind of wherever, but as soon as your power goes out, whatever, can't do much. And then when you're at home too, you need to deal with people who are visiting to fix things for you. So do what we can. Anyway, today, things to just chat about. One of the things that was kind of interesting, I just kind of want to talk through something. I don't quite know how this is going to tumble out of my mouth or out of my brain space, but we have, or at where I work, we just had this sort of I don't want to call it a town hall type thing. Basically just all of the senior people, not old, but high-ranking people in the company, just talking about kind of how great the company is for a bit. And a part of that was talking about, what's the right way to talk about this? Culture, I suppose. Building a culture where people feel being at work is a fun thing, or a place that you can spend a lot of your time. I'm maybe getting a little bit at my own opinions on this by stating it in that way. But by making it a place where you feel like you want to be at, that's probably the best way to do it. They always sell it like that. It's a place you want to be. It's a place that speaks to you beyond just what you're doing. And when that place is insurance technology, which is where I'm at right now, it's super boring stuff. They really want you. There's nothing really that's oh, you're helping the greater good here. Unless you really think insurance is helping the greater good. Highly arguable. We're going to take everyone's money and then raise everyone's premiums whenever somebody needs to use it as punishment. You put money into this thing that you never want to use ever. It's a safety net that a lot of people don't even want to use even when they need it, because they can't afford to foot an increased bill over time. They would rather eat the cost of the damage rather than say something happened to my stuff and I need to take out some money here to help pay for it, because then I have to pay even more than the thing cost in some cases. So pretty broken system. Anyway, but when what? Did you die?
I died.
Heather's playing Dead Cells. Anyway, I thought maybe there was something wrong over there for a second, but she was just playing Dead Cells. But anyway, trying to sell this place as a place that you want to be, that you want to come to, you want to work at. And it's sold in really nice packages. Their packages I agree with. They're we're going to have people put together their own groups for diversity and inclusion. Perfect. Perfectly worded there. And you do want that kind of stuff. And these places they invite you in, and you feel like you're more of a part of a family than you are as a part of just a work unit. We'll call that. And there is a certain good feeling about that. being able to find places where you were feeling welcome, if you weren't already finding that at the job, then finding other places where you can feel that at the job is a good thing. Even beyond that, it's just like activities and stuff that are being put together to encourage you to want to spend more time with work people, or better yet for them, just at work in general. One of the things that it reminded me of, and this is like just startup mentality across the board, and like my organization is just like super like startups are great, even though we're a really big company, startups are great and we should act more like them. But the way that they work like that is like, I feel like they really like targeting people who just come out of school, because the way that they design their workspace is like a school. So the way how I thought these things kind of looked, what it made me feel like, was a high school or maybe a college. Like if you were doing like clubs and stuff, or probably not as on the nose as something like a fraternity or a sorority, but just being a part of clubs, extracurricular activities at either a high school or a collegiate level, that you're not necessarily feeling like you're welcome at the school in general, but you might be able to find other places where you can feel included, like outside of just the general school, just across the board, that you find your little pockets, and you end up spending a lot of time like at the school as a result. And like, this can be a good thing. Like for school, I arguably believe it's a good thing. When I was in high school, I spent a lot of time doing band activities, a lot of music activities, and I spent a lot less time at home because I was doing those things. And when it comes to school, you're kind of preparing yourself for the world outside, or at least that's how it's sold. But one of the things that kind of strikes me as odd about that, when it's a workplace, so like you kind of have it's not really a dichotomy when you're growing up. It's more like you're balancing three things at some point in your life. At one point you're balancing school and home. At another point you're balancing school, work, and home. And then when you get out of school, you need to balance work and home. And when your workplace is trying to encourage you to spend more time at work, like that's all not, like the extracurricular activities at school, they're not work. It's a lot they have to do in addition to just going to school. But what are you getting out of that group for work, other than spending more time with people at work, and probably spending more time at work in general? These are systems that appeal to people as they come out of school because they're used to them. They're like, oh yeah, I spent so much time at college. Like if you just give me a bunch of stuff to do here, I'm going to spend more of my time at work. And I think that's why it's kind of appealing. You start putting that's why you start seeing like ping pong tables, foosball tables, arcades. Here's all your food, because it's cheaper. It's cheaper paying for all of that than letting you go home. You do enough work with them footing the bill for those things, staying there, and taking advantage of just endless free food and drinks. That's less money than letting you go home. And it's something that they're okay with footing the bill on because of that. When you don't recognize that, it just seems like the workplace is trying to make you want to like feel more included, like your workplace is your family or your friends. And there might be some truth in that. Like there's nothing wrong with having work friends and things like that. But we spend increasingly less time away from it then. You never go meet people outside of that space. You're really confined to that bubble. And I think it's intentional. Like, when I was in school, it was probably I didn't really think this way in high school, but when I was in college, I'd often associate it to a sort of prison. Not, clearly a one-to-one relationship there, but I had everything provided for me on campus when I was living on campus. I never had to leave. There was nothing there was nothing I needed to like go pick up outside of that if I didn't want to. I'd get what I paid for, essentially stipend for food and drink and things. I'd bring everything that I needed from home for my dorm, and the cost of that room, which is extremely overpriced, but the cost for that room is taken care of for my room and board. And I have a card that has a bunch of money that I put on it at the beginning of the year. It's what I signed up for, and I never have to leave. I just go there and it's all taken care of for me. I don't have to worry about going home. I don't have to worry about having a home. That feels weird to say, but that's what it was. I didn't have to go anywhere. I could just walk between my one building to my other one building that I had to be in for most days just as a music major. And then that's it. And I'd go find other people to hang out with within that space, but never without. And I didn't really have much reason to go home. It's kind of like you just sort of get locked into that space. What's interesting about college, and what the interesting difference between college and work, though, is that you have, in colleges, you're bringing in a lot of people from all over the place. That's kind of their thing. So when I'm saying I'm meeting people only within the school, that's still a lot more than I ever met in high school, or that I ever met like at home before that. These are all people from different states, different parts of the state that I've run from. I went to Western Illinois University. I'm from Illinois. So like the only people I knew growing up were like in my little, like between 4 major streets, north and south and east and west, and that was about it. People I knew was limited. People's mindsets that I knew were limited. And then I'd go somewhere else where a bunch of people were just were flying into, basically, or driving into. And you get like this whole new mentality just by being around a bunch of people from different places, just different cultures and mindsets. And it's really eye-opening. And that can sometimes happen at work. But you have the same problem. People hire around where they're at. If you're going into an office, they're hiring from around that office. They're not, like you have, in this case right now, remote employees. So you might be working with a bunch of different people from all over the place. Those are probably the best scenarios. But pre-pandemic times, at least I know a lot of places, didn't really enjoy remote work. They like having their finger on you. Like you don't, like you're under their thumb. They don't want you. They don't trust you working away from an office. They want you where they can see you and where they know you're getting work done. So when you're around an office, you're really just hiring for people around that office. You're back to not only your school, your high school time, but maybe a little bit before that, where you don't live much outside of your own city block. We travel more now because a lot of people have cars and we have some public transit around here. But it's still much limited in that college space. But the feel is very much the same. I have these clubs, these activities that I can do with the people around work. I don't have to worry too much about going other places. In the case of Mostart, obviously you barely have to worry about food. You could just live in your car in the parking lot if you wanted to. Some people do, like at Google. Like you just go rent a little space and just park it like a container. You park it in the parking lot and you just live out of there. The company pays for everything else you need. You don't need a home. Live at work. Keep working. It feels very limited and constrained. And it's just like, that's the kind of feel that I got after hearing that. Like, it's really weird because the marketed words, they're all like really inclusive and they trying to sound fun and just things like that. And when you look past it, what they're trying to do is just to keep you at work more. Don't leave. Just stay. The more you're here, the more you'll do stuff for us. And I think we really need to get away from those spaces. Like, home might not be your space, but meeting other people and being a part of other communities that aren't just that one. You don't stagnate that way. You're not just only interacting with the people that your organization has hired and have basically approved that are good enough for you to talk to. You go find other people and sort of expand your mindset and just sort of worldview by being with other communities, expanding your community pool. Like for me, I work with a bunch of volunteers in an arboretum, and I rehearse with a percussion ensemble on a weekly basis. I go to work and talk with a bunch of people from a tech background, and I still keep in contact with a number of the people that I went to college and high school with. I have plenty of neighbors here who I talk to occasionally, mainly to hang out with their dogs. And Heather's a part of a volunteer group for fostering dogs. We have a number of communities that we're a part of, and I think in many ways that helps it just helps our worldview, how we see things, how we interact with stuff, our sort of quality of life, even by not locking yourself to that one space and being able to escape that one place. You get to branch out and meet more people and be more human, frankly. And that's kind of what it boils down to. We're social creatures, and the more we branch out, the more we know and learn and grow. And when we stay in one community and that's it, well, you're in a bubble. And kind of the weird part is, like, I hadn't really thought of it until I said it out loud, is all of the people who you meet in that work scenario, they have to be hired. They have to be hired by your organization. They are people they're your company approved to be your friend. But you won't meet others outside that. You won't meet people who aren't your company approved. And that's kind of a weird way of doing that, of saying that. It's weird. It feels very grimy. But anyway, it's like there's definitely nothing wrong with having these groups that form, and they make these inclusive spaces in this giant space that might be somewhat exclusionary. Like, I'm in tech. Like, it's a really dumb thing to have to say, but it's highly, highly just filled with a bunch of white dudes. That's just what people think of when they think of a tech guy, just a pasty, nerdy white guy, which is far from the truth, far from how many people are actually involved and interested in good at this kind of stuff. There are so many more people who are involved there that these types of diversity and inclusion type groups are very necessary, and they should be there. But it leaves a weird taste in my mouth when it's the company, like, sort of forcing this to form to make you want to stay there more and not go home and not go see other people. So that's kind of maybe the grimmer side of things, that your company might not be doing that. But in many ways, that's what startups are doing when they're trying to get you to stay at work more, because they want you to work more. That's their bottom line. Whether you choose to play by those rules, you can still be a part of those groups, but do take care of yourself and get out of there and see the world and meet new people outside of that bubble. Those just help you grow. Anyway, that was just a little bit of stuff I was thinking of. Maybe people agree. If you do or don't, go ahead and let me know. Hey, it's kind of an interesting topic. But I think that's about it. That was a long one again. But I feel like that was one I was thinking about for a couple days. So it's been stewing in there for a little bit. But I think we'll call it that. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday, and continue having a wonderful Friday. And we'll catch you in the next one. See ya.